Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary Tip of the Day. I'm Scotty B. This is a limited series that will be running between seasons to offer you tips and share out thoughts on topics inside of the cosplay industry. This week we're going to be talking all about YouTube and how YouTube is just a wonderful place to be if you're a cosplayer, although it is a difficult place to get established in, and many people do get discouraged because of the changes that have been made and because of all of the work that goes into creating a channel and then creating content for that channel on YouTube. But it is great for how-to content. And cosplay, if it's anything, is the ultimate space for how-to and DIY. It is just anything and everything that you can do to create short videos for foam armor, for Warbler, for sewing, for 3D printing, for photography, for editing, for con going, for anything and everything that you can put into a costume or a prop. From sewing to building to complete builds to partial builds to generic things to specific things, it's everything and anything. But the tough part is what to do with it, and all of that effort could be put somewhere else, right? And for most cosplayers, they look at trying to build a base of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time just to get some ad revenue that may amount to about $40 a month. And they go, that is a lot of work that I could spend doing something else with my hobby. But here's the thing, it does take time and it is part of a long game, but it is all content that can head in a positive direction and help others and bring them to what you do and to your message. So yes, it is very much based on watch time and attention and what people are looking for. But believe me, they are looking for cosplay. There are people searching for, and if you listen back on videos or if you watch other videos on YouTube, you know how cosplayers are figuring out what to do with cosplay and where they often start. They go to YouTube and they start looking up videos for what they want to build and for what they want to do. You could be in that space. It's a fun space to be in. YouTube can happen a lot of different ways. It is what we're going to be focusing on all this week in these little 3 to 5 minute episodes where we talk about bigger topics all week and break them down into little chunks every day. So this week will be all about YouTube. We're going to talk thumbnails. We're going to talk watch time. We're going to talk structure and methods. We probably won't get so grainy and detailed on exactly how to put something up on the internet and exactly what to go into, because there are a lot of different approaches. It really depends on what you specifically would want to do. There will be more detail on that inside of other programs that might come out later that will help cosplayers. Let me leave you with this thought. So it does take a lot to build 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time on YouTube, but does it not take more effort to build a 10,000 subscriber base on Instagram just so that you can get a swipe up function so that people can go and use your promo code for something? I mean, it is a lot of work, and those things can work together. So as the week goes on here, I'm Scotty B, and let's talk more about what we can do to help you think about adding YouTube or getting into YouTube to help other people and to help bring more people to what you do inside of cosplay. This is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. See you tomorrow. Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary Tip of the Day. I'm Scotty B. This is a limited series that will be running between seasons to offer you tips and share out thoughts on topics inside and related to the cosplay industry. This week we're talking all about YouTube and how it can work for cosplayers. So yesterday we gave you a little bit of an overview of some of the barriers to entry or some of the thoughts that may be limiting you or discouraging you from trying to get onto YouTube as a platform to help you inside of social media. And today I would like to just briefly share my story and why I believe or think that cosplay and YouTube can go hand in hand, and it can do a lot to help you to get in front of a camera and to share much of what you do inside of cosplay in that space, in the how-to format, especially if you are starting at zero, as we all do. What do I know about YouTube? if you take a look at Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary, I don't have a ton going on there right now because I am in development. I have about 60 subscribers on my channel. A couple of years ago, I did spend some time on another channel in the fitness world, helping someone grow their following from about 4,000 followers to, when we were all said and done with our part of the project, 125,000 followers. That's a lot of growth inside of a year and a half for a YouTube channel, especially in the fitness area because it's a very crowded space. So I do understand YouTube, I do understand how it works, and if you go to that channel, I can leave a link to it in the show notes. You can see that the number one idea that shows up in the most watched videos is one that I came up with for dead bugs, because in the fitness world there isn't a whole lot out there for that, and we came up with a 5-minute video that would work in that space, and you can see that it has collected over 4 million views. So I do know a little bit about what I'm talking about in terms of YouTube, and what I do know is that it is a long game and it does take effort and energy. You'll also see that the person who runs that channel, very talented individual, probably doesn't have as many people on her other social platforms as some of you do. So it was not that at all. It wasn't that it was only bringing over your Instagram followers or your TikTok followers and hoping that they also follow you on YouTube. But this is growth and organic growth in a completely different space. So you've got billions, well, probably over 1 billion people looking at YouTube. There's tons of videos going on constantly. It is a bit of a different game now than it was 2 years ago for sure, but the processes are the same. The way that it works is very much you doing the work and providing that content. So what did we do in 2 years? What did we do in those 18 months that made a difference? Well, we used keyword planning, and we used this thing called TubeBuddy to figure out titles and to figure out keywords. We checked into thumbnails, and we created thumbnails that we felt would be much better for engagement, and that is a huge part of what you put on your channel. You got to think about thumbnails. Consistent content and engagement with the audience was something that we focused on. We wanted to make sure that the content wasn't just one booty this or booty that, build your booty, whatever the buzz things, the things that people click on, get tight stomach and build your glutes. There's more to it than that. There's a lot more white space in the industry. People, what other people and fitness channels aren't doing, and really what's specific to the locale and the location that you are building that channel for. So this was an international channel, and there was content going on it for both English and Korean. So we're taking that all into consideration, and also just pointing everything to your videos, your channel, and leveraging your other followings. But again, your Instagram following and your YouTube following are going to be wildly different because of what people go to those platforms for and what you can offer through either of them. IGTV still hasn't quite figured out how to do it just as well as YouTube. They're getting there, and maybe someday they will be there, but right now there's just not as many features, and of course there's no monetization available. We looked at the quality and the mix of content that would build watch time, because that's really where it's at. Yes, you do need a minimum amount of watch time and subscribers in order to get everything working the way that it then pays you to do so. Not that that is the most important thing, but it is something that people consider, and they go, well, I just don't want to spend the time on this. It's a lot of work and not a huge return for, the 5 or 6 views that I might get. But what I am saying is that can be solved systematically. It isn't that people won't find your programs. The algorithm will absolutely make sure that your content will find the right viewers. That is the way it works. And if you are providing the right kind of content, and again, when you're starting at zero in cosplay, the best space or the best place to do it, the best thing to do is how to, because everybody wants to know how you do it. Vlogs are tough. Cinematics are tough. Giving convention recaps and a lot of the promotional videos that go up, those and compilations too, those are tough. And what I want to do tomorrow is talk more about the algorithm in YouTube, which you may already know quite a bit about, but that is where I'm going with the next show. So I will see you tomorrow to talk about the YouTube algorithm. This is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary tip of the day. I'm Scotty B. This is a limited series that'll be running between seasons to offer you tips and share out thoughts on topics inside the cosplay industry. Today we're going to be talking more about YouTube as we have this week, and we're going to spend about 3 minutes talking to you about the YouTube algorithm. Why aren't we going to spend more, or why didn't we include this in season 2? I wanted to take a little bit of a different approach and again just offer tips and my thoughts on some of these topics that surround cosplay and what I generally see is that cosplayers avoid YouTube. They don't feel that they're going to get a ton of attention there. What I do want to emphasize in this few minutes that I talk about the algorithm and my biggest tip for getting on to any platform, YouTube specifically, if you're a cosplayer, is to not look for all of the hacks on that platform to try and game the algorithm, that there is some magical way to get around it, or that you can create this substantive quality content that is algorithm proof and that YouTube will never know that there's nothing behind it. You know, that there's a lot of thought processes out there that you can trick an algorithm into doing things so that you can go viral. Maybe you can. I mean, if you throw enough darts, maybe that works. But again, it's all about consistency. And what YouTube does, what the YouTube search engine, the Google search engine does the best is it matches your content to the viewer. Whatever that viewer is looking for, whatever that viewer is going to find, it will match content to that viewer. It is very good at doing that. It matches the person watching the video to the video that they want to watch. It's just very, very much over time that's been refined, and that is exactly how it works. So your viewer will always find your content no matter what. If you have what you need in place, if everything is within the guidelines, if you've done all your due diligence, if you've put that YouTube video together with care, regardless of your size, regardless of how many videos you have, you are going to do just fine on YouTube, because it is the quality and the substance inside of your content, not how flashy and amazing it is, not the cinematic quality of your content, but what it is talking about, the space that it is talking about, and where that white space is. So the more people that are looking for how-to content on specific things, yes, there's some research that goes into that, but that is where it will happen. Also, know that there is a ripple effect. So just because you post a video today, you don't get a lot of viewers today. The great thing about YouTube is it doesn't really care how long your video has been on that platform. It will always look to find the viewer for the video, whether it's a day, a month, or a year. The longer you have on the platform, the better, the more opportunity you have to find that viewer. But that is really how it works. It isn't necessarily the day that it gets posted, but as time goes on, that algorithm starts to see your content, it starts to understand what you're doing, and it starts to go and find the people for those titles, for those thumbnails, for that content inside of that video. It finds the people that will watch that. So what you do and how you shift content, how you base what you do inside of the platform can make a huge difference on the number of views that you receive and the length of the watch time on your video. There is definitely a formula to getting started, but you have to make sure that it really works for you and what you're trying to do. So what I will leave you with is really the question that I have is, what's the rush anyways? It is a long game, but cosplay is too. You get better as time goes on, just like you do when you build videos or when you have a podcast or when you have an Instagram feed. You can see from beginning to where you are now, there's always a lot of change. And this is cosplay. It's supposed to be fun anyways, right? You produce the content that you want to enjoy your fandom, to share your stories, to express that truth inside of you that resonates inside of cosplay. This is for fun. If you're not having fun, it's not really a hobby anymore, is it? It's more of a job. And we will pick it back up tomorrow with more tips and thoughts on YouTube. This is Scotty B for Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. Bye-bye. Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary Tip of the Day. This is Scotty B. This is a limited series running between seasons where I offer you tips and share out thoughts on topics inside and surrounding the cosplay industry. This week we're talking all about social media and YouTube inside of that, so we'll focus all on YouTube this week. And today's topic is consistency. On YouTube is key. It's key for your channel. So let me give you an example. I've worked inside of the fitness industry, and as I said earlier in the week, I built a channel, allowed it or helped it to gain 121,000 subscribers and millions of views over the course of that time, which allowed for quite a bit of watch time. Now, with fitness, you don't get anywhere with it if you don't actually do anything consistently, right? So if you don't eat right and you don't exercise regularly, if you're not regular, if you haven't changed your lifestyle to incorporate fitness as something that happens regularly within your day, within your week, within your month, whether it's 1 day a week or 3 days a week or whatever it is, if you are not consistent, you don't really reap any of the benefits. You don't get healthier, you don't feel better, you don't have more energy, and you don't get that look that you're going for. And in cosplay, sometimes, depending on what you're trying to cosplay. So there are some things inside of fitness that you can look at to say, okay, consistency there might be something to that. And there is in YouTube too. If you are consistent with your content, you can gain a lot more ground inside of YouTube. So, and really, what is consistency inside of YouTube? It's the same way. You figure out your posting. So are you posting once a day, once a week, once a month, twice a day? More isn't always better. Just like it is with fitness, more doesn't always get you more fit. If you work out 4 times a day, you actually end up overtraining. Too much excessive exercise or too limited of a diet can be bad. It is the same way with YouTube. If you burn yourself out trying to create all of this content because you just want to pump it out there, you lose quality. It makes you later on become more inconsistent. So whatever your consistency level is, if you just keep hitting that metric. But I do know many people have been on Instagram forever. I've been on Instagram forever, and I don't see the kind of returns that I have seen and realized on YouTube. It's just not quite as fast to post, but you can get around things like that. Scheduling is easy, and we can talk for days about how to schedule content and batch content, but you can set it up, and it's really easy to do. There are a lot of online resources that share those tips with you, and you can actually upload multiple videos at a time. It's really easy to do, just to drag over as many as you want and just set them all up while you're waiting for them all to upload. And I also do not recommend a bunch of fancy editing or being really fancy with your channel to start out. I think really the important thing is that people want to see you, what you do, and what your message is, and the quality of the content inside of your message. That is the most important thing. So I try to do that with my channel. As you can see, it's really simple right now. I don't have 1 million followers, which is just fine. I'm not looking for that right now. What I'm trying to do is build consistency so that people know when I'm posting something and that they can come back regularly. So every Friday, another video goes up there. And it doesn't actually have to be a video of you. You can also put your podcast on your YouTube channel. That's really easy to do, and guess what? It's audio, so it takes a lot less load time. But it isn't fancy. My intros are a little bit over the top, which is fine for me. I have a lot of fun making those and putting them together and putting them out there. That's just fine, and it's not necessarily going to stay there forever. It's just what I'm doing right now. That is the focus of today's subject for YouTube, is to be consistent and to have a plan. So my process is the same every single time. It goes from brainstorming to scripting to planning to the run-through, filming, editing, posting, and promotion. So rewind that if you need to get that track down, but you will hear more about it in programs that I come up with, and you'll hear more about that as weeks go on and as seasons go on, because that is my formula. So once again, this is Scotty B with Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. Thanks so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to the Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary Tip of the Day. This is Scotty B. This is a limited series running between seasons where I offer you tips and share out thoughts on topics inside of the cosplay industry. This week we have been talking a lot about YouTube and what YouTube can do for you and how it isn't a scary place and it isn't really that hard to do. You need a minimal amount of pieces of equipment. You can actually just do the whole thing on your phone and it is just fine. My mentor went on her iPhone and she recorded a video about Twitter. That video ended up getting her so many views. It brought her into the space that she is now as a marketer. And if it wasn't for just using what she had in the space where she was at the time and just giving it a try, making sure that the quality of her content was A, relevant to her audience, and B, just done in a manner that made sense to her and that wasn't inauthentic and that was just well presented, it took off. And that can happen to anyone. It wasn't about finding the exact right time and space and topic to go viral. It had everything to do with, this is something I wanted to talk about. This is something that I believe that can help people. I did it in a very structured way. And by the way, we'll talk about some methodology here because the best methods are still manual. You don't have to buy ads to generate traffic. You can use YouTube as a sales funnel to bring more attention to you. Make sure that you're clear on what you want people to do. There's a clear call to action inside of your video, and the format does not have to be different and crazy every single time, but the more organized you are with your presentation, the more organized you are with what you're doing, the more planning that you have done to create that video. And believe me, you don't have to do it all in one take. That's the wonderful thing about video. You can leave the camera on and you can do some pretty easy cuts on your video. There are lots of other videos, guess where, on YouTube that help you out with things like that. That's why I also say how-to content for cosplayers on YouTube. It can go a long, long way for you. If that's what you want to do, if that's something that you would like to share with the world, YouTube is a good place for that, if you can be clear and consistent. There is a lot of manual effort, and yes, some of today's tip or some of today's thoughts on YouTube are about just doing the work that needs to be done. It's much more manual than, say, something like Instagram, where you do get, just like the platform suggests, in the instant, in the moment, but it is also in the instant, in the moment, where you get those results and that feedback, which everybody loves, that dopamine rush, whereas YouTube is more over time. But people keep coming back to it. And if your content is what my mentor would refer to as evergreen, which how-to content inside of cosplay can very much be, then it's really just putting in the work and figuring out what works for you, leaving the comments, uploading the videos, putting in the editing, cross-promoting on other platforms. That work does pay off dividends. It does work. It's been proven over and over and over again on YouTube. But it is much easier to give up than it is to get started, just like with anything else, just like with a podcast or with trying to get in front of people on Instagram, doing it and feeding the beast and creating so much content and organizing all of your thoughts. And yes, it's a hobby. So how much effort do we want to put into it? But man, I've seen some crazy builds. You want to know more. You want to figure it out. You want to develop inside of that fandom and just figure out how it is, but you can never find it online. No, you can find it some cases, but it is still a relatively open space. You really have to know what you're looking for right now. There's just a lot of question marks. There's a lot of white space in the cosplay industry. The people who I do see putting content up in the cosplay world, they do a great job of it. And I think that the smaller channels, it will get bigger for them. And I think that the bigger channels did get dialed in. And yes, that it is absolutely possible to build a YouTube channel around cosplay. So next week, we're going to talk more just about social media in general and what works best for me for steady organic growth on many of the platforms that I currently use. So until next week, this is Scotty B from Heroes of Cosplay Sanctuary. I'll see you then.